안녕하세요. 다들 좋은 하루 보내고 계신가요? 2022년의 풀백 이후에 마켓이 2023년에 이어 올해까지도 새로운 최고점들을 기록하면서 계속해서 오르는 바람에 기쁘신 분들도 계시겠지만 투자를 어느 정도 하신 분들 같은 경우에 마켓이 지나치게 많이 오르는 것 같아서 불안해하시는 분들도 계실 거란 생각이 듭니다. 자, 마켓의 과거 패턴들을 보시면 아시겠지만 아무리 좋은 마켓일지라도 한없이 주가가 계속 오르기만 할 수는 없기 때문에 크게 보면 10년 단위로 큰 마켓 크래시나 리세션이 찾아왔었는데요. 2008년, 2009년 이후로 리세션 없이 가장 오랫동안 마켓이 오르고 있기 때문에 마켓 크래시를 예상하시는 분들이 상당히 많다고 생각을 합니다. 자, 오늘은 한평생 투자를 해오시고 이미 주식 투자로 큰 부를 쌓으셨으며 수많은 베어 마켓과 리세션 그리고 마켓 크래시를 경험하신 투자계의 거장 중에 한 분이신 짐 로저스를 저희 채널에 다시 초대해서 인터뷰를 하게 되었습니다. 자, 지금 같은 마켓에 투자를 하시는데 분명히 큰 도움이 될 인사이트들을 나눠주실 거라는 생각에 초청을 해서 인터뷰를 진행하게 되었는데요. 인터뷰가 생각보다 길어지는 바람에 2부로 나눠서 인터뷰를 편집하게 되었습니다. 1, 2부 모두 지금 같은 마켓에 큰 도움이 될 내용들을 뽑아서 편집을 했는데요. 마켓의 역사가 지금까지 반복되었다는 관점에서 봤을 때 짐 로저스의 눈에 지금의 마켓이 정말로 닷컴 버블이나 2008년, 2009년도의 리세션과 비슷한 패턴을 보이며 아주 유사한 마켓으로 느껴지시는지, 그리고 본인은 지금 어떤 자산에 투자를 하고 있고 현금을 어느 정도 들고 있으며 마켓 크래시가 오기 전에 주로 어떤 현상들이나 사인들이 나타났었는지 나눠주셨는데요. 시간이 되신다면 1, 2부 모두 시청하시기 바라겠습니다. 여러분들의 투자에 분명히 큰 도움이 될 거라 생각을 합니다. 자, 그러면 디스크랩만 듣고 영상 바로 보도록 하겠고요. 지금 시킹 알파에서 오랜만에 20% 할인하는 프로모션을 하고 있으니 이 플랫폼에 관심 있으신 분들께서는 아래 디스크립션에 링크를 사용하셔서 반드시 20% 할인을 받으시기 바라겠습니다. 사실 저도 시킹 알파를 매일매일 사용하고 있는데요. 이 플랫폼을 사용해서 주가가 크게 오를 가능성이 높은 주식들을 찾는 방법을 영상으로 만들었으니 시킹 알파 플랫폼에 관심 있으신 분들께서는 제가 업로드한 영상을 참고해 보시기 바라겠습니다. 그리고 최근에 전문 투자자분들과 미팅을 통해 그분들께서 인공지능에 반드시 필요한 데이터 센터에 투자를 원할 경우에 눈여겨볼 만한 3개의 주식을 공유해 줬는데요. 이 3개의 주식에 관심 있으신 분들께서는 아래 디스크립션에 인공지능 데이터 센터 주식들 링크를 클릭하셔서 그 리스트를 받아가시기 바라겠습니다. 구독과 라이크 다시 한번 부탁드리겠고요. 제가 눈여겨보는 주식들이나 마켓의 중요한 인사이트들도 가끔 인스타를 통해서 나누고 있는데요. 이런 소식에 관심 있으신 분들께서는 아래 제 인스타를 팔로우하시면 되겠습니다. 제가 만든 컨텐츠들은 어디까지나 정보 전달을 위한 영상들이기 때문에 절대 영상만 보시고 주식들을 매도하지 마시기 바라고요. 본인 스스로 반드시 리서치를 더 하신 다음에 판단을 내리시기 바라겠습니다.
Hello, everyone. I am honored to have one of the best legendary investors of all times, Jim Rogers, on our channel once again. And I'm sure if you had been investing for some time in the stock market now, it would be almost impossible not to know who Jim is. So I thought it would be very helpful to hear Jim's insights on today's market, especially since he has gone through several market crashes and recessions that people keep assuming will happen next year or in the very near future. So thank you very much for sharing your time today, Jim.
Well, Andrew, I'm delighted to be here. I'm flattered.
Thank you. So I think a lot of people have been talking about and predicting a market crash for quite some time now. But unlike what most investors were expecting, the market has been showing new all-time highs for all 3 indexes and have kept going up. Some investors are even saying that the pullback that we had in 2022 was the crash most investors were talking about, and that we have started a new bull rally that will last for more than a decade. Now, do you still think that we will have a major market crash in the near future? Or do you also agree that we might have had that crash in 2022 and are in the first inning of a new bull market rally?
It really doesn't matter what I think. The market will tell us what's going on. I do know that 2009 or 2008, 2009 was bad, and this has been the longest period in American history without a major disaster. Maybe it's going to last 50 years. I don't know. It never has. Washington says, don't worry, everything is okay. Well, I know not to listen to Washington. But, Andrew, I have not started selling short. I do not sell short yet, but I can see that there is euphoria building. I see that many people, new investors are coming and saying this is wonderful and it's easy. These are signs that you see near the end, but I am not selling short yet.
Is this type of pattern that you're seeing right now, as you mentioned, like new investors coming in saying that investing is easy, they're actually making a lot of money? If they invested in NVIDIA, not knowing what the company was and not even knowing the value, they made a lot of money. Do you see this pattern happening again like we saw in 2021?
I see it beginning not as as powerfully as it has been near the end in many other bull markets, but I do see it happening. I mean, I'm sure you see it. You just go on the internet and you see people saying, oh my gosh, I've discovered this new thing. It's the stock market and it's easy and you can make money. Well, okay, it's not my first rodeo. I've heard these stories before. But Andrew, as I say, I'm not selling short yet because I don't see the wild euphoria that has happened in previous bull markets near the end. Maybe we're there. Maybe I'm not smart enough, but I'm still waiting.
So based on your experience going through several, I guess, market crashes and recessions, I think you're saying that there is a possibility that you don't feel that major euphoria that you felt in, let's say, the dot-com bubble or 2008, 2009, I guess.
It doesn't feel to me the same, as powerful and as out of control, as hysterical as it has been in the past. But who knows? Bull markets, they don't sit down and write a book and say, this is what happens at the end. I wish it were that easy. It's never been that easy for me. Let's put it that way.
The other thing that I was curious, since you brought this up, I wasn't investing in 2000 or 1999, but I hear that a lot of people, and you see the data where in the dot-com bubble, there were a lot of companies with the dot-com that didn't have revenues, didn't have net income, just had visions. And if you had that .com in your name of the company, the stock was skyrocketing. But right now, I think the hype is around artificial intelligence. But if you see the stock price going up, and if you look at the, let's say, the earning calls or see their revenue and net income, it's also actually going up as well. Do you think there's a difference between the hype right now and the hype that we saw in the dot-com early era?
Well, it's always different. Yes, it's always different. But having said that, I mean, I can remember in previous, I think it was probably the late 60s, companies would change their name to put computer in the name, and the stock would skyrocket it. It didn't matter if it was a laundry. You know, if you put your name as Smith's Laundry, Smith's Computer, the stock would go through the roof. So, I mean, this has all happened before. At least hysteria and bull markets have happened before. I hope they always happen. And I hope I'm smart enough to know when to get out and to sell short.
Well, talking about the Fed, so I think the Fed has kept saying that they are on track with a soft landing and that inflation is in process of being taken care of, and have shared on the most recent FOMC meeting that they may have a rate cut later this year. But I was looking at the past pattern of the market, and based on the past history, whenever the Fed has pivoted their policy and started cutting rates, there has always been a market crash followed within a year or so after the rate cut. Now, once the Fed starts cutting the Fed fund rates, either this year or next year, do you personally think that the market will be in a recovery mode as the Fed says, or do you think that it will be the beginning of maybe a major market crash?
Andrew, I have learned not to listen too much to the people at the Fed. They're just bureaucrats and academics. You know, they're trying to keep their jobs. They don't care about your job. They don't care about my job. They care about their jobs. And they're trying to keep their jobs. So I have learned not to pay too much attention. You have to listen. You have to know what they're saying. But they don't know any more than I do. They don't know more than most people.
I think the major goal of the soft landing of the Fed saying is that they're going to drag down the inflation and not, increase the unemployment rate and not cause a recession and then have a recovery of the market. But it seems like you're saying that we need a hard landing to happen for a reset for this market.
Andrew, I will tell you that over my years, I have learned that I have to decide. I can listen to them as input, but they do have influence and some power. But I have learned that they don't know any more than you and I know.
There's a lot of investors that have sold their stocks last year, assuming that there would be a market crash. But due to the market bull rally, they have missed out on the opportunity of quite substantial gains being out of the market while the S&P was going up, I think like 25% more. Would you have any advice for these investors that are on the side right now and sold last year and have missed these gains at this point, whether they should keep waiting on the side for better opportunities or a major pullback, or do you think they should start investing since we still have the bullish momentum in the market? And also, if you also had experiences missing these great opportunities in your career, and how you actually overcame these misses.
Oh, Andrew, I've made many mistakes. We could have 2 or 3 or 10 shows about my mistakes. I hope everybody's made a lot of mistakes, and I hope I continue to make mistakes because that's the only way I'm going to have any success. No, I don't like missing a move. I certainly don't like making mistakes, but I know it happens. But I think I've learned that if you've missed something, the answer is usually not to say, okay, I'll jump in now. I'll make up for it. That is historically for me not been a good way to do it. The way that I have found is wait until I myself think, okay, I missed that one. Now here's another one. Wait until you yourself think you're right.
Since the market is in a new all-time high, there is a lot of stocks that are actually in their new all-time highs as well. But I think there is always a possibility of a huge market pullback, if not a market crash. But for an investor like you, do you use stop losses just in case to protect your losses? Or do you usually dollar cost average in whenever there is a pullback or the stocks you invested in goes against you?
조금이라도 도움이 되셨다면 주위 분들과 나눠주셨으면 너무 고맙겠고요. 구독과 라이크를 해주시면 더욱 감사하겠습니다.